Hey, I'm the HowToDad, and this is my e-bike. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, but also kind of the same. I've got a bit of an issue with my rear hub motor. The problem is that the axle had stripped out. I didn't install a torque arm, which I really should have. If you're going to install one of these, you definitely need a torque arm, and I didn't do that. And the axle's been spinning in the torque washers. It's toast. I'm going to take this motor apart and see if I can get a replacement axle for it. It's going to be a bit of finagling and figuring, but I don't know. I think that anything's fixable. All right, let's do this. All right, so I've got my motor off the bike, and so now I can get access to this cover plate. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is that this ring is held on with a little bit of sealant, so I'm just gonna use a chisel and just very lightly try to get underneath that, pry that up. There we go. Just gonna lift this right out. I've actually drilled a little hole in my workstation, so I'm just gonna set that down. I've also been taking care to make sure that there are no metal filings or dust or anything on my work surface. As dirty as it does look, I assure you it is clean. Now, what we've got here, metal shims. So we can just pull those off. Just gonna set those aside, and then underneath the shims, you can see there's a circlip. Try not to get too much in the way here. Okay, there we go. Squeeze. And I can lift that off. It's also important to wear eye protection when you're doing this, because things flies off in your eye, you're going to be in a world of hurt. You can actually probably see how messed up the shaft is here. So this is what it should look like. This is what it does look like. Okay, and since I'm not too concerned with the shaft, I'm actually just going to put this right in the vise. So I'm going to fish this wire down that hole in my bench, tighten that down into the vise. I'm going to take this planetary gear set off, and to do that I'm going to use this gear puller. Now if you're lucky, you can go to a local part supply store and they'll actually lend you or rent you one of these. Okay, so all you have to do now is just very nicely turn this, and you can see those gears are coming up. Oh man, I don't even need this wrap. Look at this. Okay, and that just pulls off. You can see there's a key. So you can just pop that key out. Don't lose that. You're definitely gonna need that. I'm just gonna put that with the planetary gear set. This is like the main drive gear. Now to get at these 3 Phillips head screws. There we go. Next one. And the next thing I have to take off is there's a little C-clip right there. Make sure you wear safety glasses. I swear to God, this thing came flying at my face so fast the first time I did this, and it got actually wedged in between my forehead and my hat. I was able just to get it with a pair of needle nose pliers. It was a bit tricky, but I got it off. Next thing is you can just kind of just take this right off. Now underneath this, there's another little circlip right there. Might as well just do this right now. Oh, there, get a wiener. Still have my safety glasses on, so this is good. Okay, so I have to get this off the motor, but there's all kinds of batteries, of magnets on the inside of this rotor. It's holding it down so tightly, there's no way you can lift it off. You can't squeeze it, there's nothing you can do, so you gotta use your gear puller. Now the problem is, this gear puller isn't long enough. I had to make longer arms for my gear puller. I want to make sure that I'm only pulling on this rotor and not on the stator on the inside. All right, so you can see I don't want to be pulling on anything here. All right, on any of this stuff. I only want to be pulling on this outer ring here. This outer ring, it has all these magnets stacked up around there that make the motor work. Now, actually, before I do that, I should let you know it's going to come up and it's going to be almost off. You have to be really careful at that point, because if puller lets go, that thing's gonna come down, and if your fingers are in there, you're like, so let's hope that I don't do that. Okay, there we go. These are all magnets on the inside of this, and it wants to, when you put this on here, it wants to pull it down, and if you put your finger there, like, there's nothing you can do. Like, it's, whew, I don't think it'll cut it off, but it'll fart and hurt, that's for sure. Okay, so on the inside here, you can see this ring here. Let's pop that out. Okay, so it was just this little metal shim. Oh, that was right down there, and it's just to, I guess, to give a little bit of a barrier between this little rubber ring and the bearing, and the bearing in here. Now to get at the axle, you can see, so here's the wire, goes down through the shaft, and then it comes out at the bottom here. And in order to get the shaft out, I've got to press it out, but I can't do that with this wire in place because I'll just be pressing on the wire. So I gotta get this wire out. So there's some wires here that I need to cut, and then I guess I'll have to resolder them later. Actually, since I've got you in here, I'm gonna show you. You see that spot right there? So that looks like a short that's starting. That's gonna be another fix that I'm gonna try. But in the meantime, let's just get to cutting these wires. I'm gonna leave, enough wire so I know where the wires go. Here we go. Oh, there's no going back now. Oh geez, okay. It is really easy to cut these wires. It's just, it's hard for me to do that. So now that's all those are like the sensor wires for the holodeck, whatever sensor. Now I've got the two leads. So I've got the green one and the yellow one here. Now those are what brings power to the motor. I'm gonna leave an extra long lead on this green wire. Good enough, there we go. And the same thing with the yellow wire. So, okay. Oh, wait, I got another one here. I got a black one. Well, what do you know? I don't know anything. All right, now totally effed my motor. Yeah, all the wires are disconnected, and now I got to figure out how to pull this guy out. So come along for another adventure. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to use this lip here to my advantage. I'm going to feed this wire through the hole with the vise, and I'm going to pull down instead of pulling up from underneath the work table. And I think that might work. Let's try that. Hey, did you hear that? That was an order. Yeah, right, awesome. So I actually got someone ordered a set of plans from beddeskplans.com while I was doing this video, and it was Marion from Lansing, Michigan, ordered a set of the Inches double bed desk plans. So yeah, thanks Marion, and hopefully maybe you're watching this video, and if you are, I really appreciate it. And if you guys liked my videos, obviously you can do the like, subscribe, whatever thing on YouTube, but also it helps me out a huge bunch if you go and buy a set of plans. All right, thanks very much. All right, so I'm gonna try using gravity to my advantage and try pulling down on this. I just don't want to, pull so hard that I break all the wires. Oh yeah, it's moving. Okay, I can see the wires going now. That wasn't so bad. I'm only breathing heavy because I was nervous. It wasn't hard. All right, let's take a look at this wire. Yeah, you can see how the wire, so basically what happened was, this is all twisted too. So when the shaft was spinning, the wire was inside it. And so the wire was spinning as well. So you can see it's all like it's not looking good. I'll see if I can get a replacement for this. There was actually some adhesive that was here, some sealant. So that was probably why it was so hard to get it started. I gotta push the shaft out this way, because this piece right here is integral, so is part of this shaft. This part here is aluminum, this part here is steel. Now, if I remember grade 10 science correctly, the coefficient of linear expansion for steel is greater than aluminum. Is that right? I don't know, one of them, they're different anyway. So I think if I throw this in the freezer, I might be able to get this out more easily. I don't want to heat it up, because if I heat it up, I can mess all this stuff up. But if I throw it in the freezer. All right, so I must have heard somebody yelling at me through the screen on my way to the freezer, because then I remembered that aluminum has a higher coefficient of linear expansion than steel. So if I put it in the freezer, the aluminum would actually squeeze harder on the steel. So that's just not gonna work. What I'm gonna try is actually just brute force. So whoever was yelling at the screen that I was wrong about the thermal expansion thing and putting it in the freezer, thanks, you saved me a ton. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna try here is I have this little piece of pipe that I've cut, and it fits nicely right inside there. I'm gonna put this down on top of the vise, take some nuts here, and thread them on whatever threads are left here. And I'm gonna try tapping this with a hammer. There we go. This seemed to work. If you have a press, that's the way to do it, but I don't know about you. I don't have a press sitting in my garage. Okay, I'm just gonna go put this down somewhere nicely. So yeah, now you can see like very clearly how messed up the threads are. Here's the axle on the other side. It's a bit messed up too. Wasn't too careful with this shaft because, well, it's toasted. I'm gonna contact the manufacturer of Greenpedal and see if I can get them to send me one of these. And if they can't, then I'm going to take this to a machine shop and have somebody machine it for me, because there's not a whole lot going on here. You know, a good machinist can do this. It's just gonna cost me quite a bit to do that. It's not going to be a cheap part. That was not so difficult. Here's the motor basically torn right down. So we got the shaft, is what I was trying to get out of there, with the planetary gears, the stator commutator. I think those are the right terminology. All the magnets on there. This is the housing that goes on the outside with its 6 screws. The sintered metal gear there for the planetary gear, it's 3 screws. Those 4 shims go in between the housing of the, what do we call them, the stator and the housing of the motor. And you got your circlips, that C-clamp, and then those 2 keys that are super important. All right, check this out. Got a little package in the mail. Got some Chinese writing on it. That's a good sign. So basically what happened was I was able to get in touch with Greenpedal finally after like 15 emails, but they finally did get back to me and agreed to send me a replacement shaft for my e-bike, for my hub motor. And Miles at affordableebikes.ca helped me out with that. There's my wire lead, good. A torque arm, which I definitely need. I learned the hard lesson. That's how I ended up with this, no torque arm. And this is the goods. This is a lot of tape. Too much tape. Okay, are they identical? That looks pretty close. Yeah. Yeah. Woo! I don't know, I can't tell you how many times I've ordered stuff, and I'm sure you have as well. You order stuff, it comes in and it's like the wrong thing or whatever. So I've got to get the wire lead down this hole, down the shaft, and out this hole. I'm hoping it's easy, but I'm guessing it's not going to be. I got to cut the end off of this lead because this is only the end that I need. I'm going to pull it down and yeah, if you remember when I took it out, I needed to get the wire out and then take the shaft out. Shaft was the last thing that came out, so that means that the shaft needs to be the first thing to go in. All right, so here's my key. So I put that in there, and then I've got to feed this up into the shaft. Now I might need to press it. It might just go in. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to try tapping this with the hammer, but remembering that you know, I got to preserve the end of this thing. So. And I gotta feed that key in properly too. I'm gonna put that over top, and then I've got this. This is basically just a grinding wheel. I'm just gonna put that on there, and then I'm gonna take this nut, I'm gonna thread that on there, and this should press into place. Now there's probably a need for a washer. All right, well, there was some dicking and some figuring, but I did eventually get this thing back on. So now what I gotta do is I gotta get the wire down the throat, give that like a slight bend so that when it gets down there, it'll come out the end. Just feed it down. I don't know, you're not gonna be able to see because I can't see. Inside this little hole here is the wire, so I've gotta get in there with a pair of needle nose and see if I can tease it out. I'm literally just teasing it out with these pliers. It's not easy at all. Really easy way to do this. There really isn't. I can't film this very well. I'm unable to very easily film this. Okay. I think I'm getting there. Because the other issue too is I don't want to like start jamming in here. Like, because if I try to pull, and I could snap that off, I could hit a wire. You know, it's not an easy spot to be working. So anyway, pulling that out. I think it's coming now. I think I'm basically. So now I'm just gonna peel this jacket back. I'm gonna try to. My surgical tools here. To reveal all these wires. I've got to solder each one of these wires onto the board. You can see that there's like some hot glue or something that's covering up, and I guess it's just to add a little bit of structure. And I can actually just peel it off with my fingers. So before I solder or desolder, I have to take all this stuff off, and then I'll strip the wires back and solder the wires back onto the board using a soldering iron. And hopefully I don't boner this up too bad, but it looks pretty straightforward. I think I can handle it. And then it'll be, once I get those little wires out of the way, I'll move on to the big wires. Same thing, I'll strip these wires back, solder onto there, some heat shrink where the joints are, and then get this motor back together. I'm going to epoxy that little spot over here that had that short in it and try to just protect it. I'm just gonna use a little bit of 5-minute epoxy. So I'm gonna jam it in there with my fingers. There was some epoxy on these leads too, so I'm just gonna epoxy these guys back on. Just gonna pause the video right here. I just realized I made a bit of an error. So this little hole on the back here, actually I shouldn't just be filling that in with sealant. That's an injection hole. So you want to inject your sealant into that hole until it comes out this side, and that way it seals this. So it stops any moisture or debris or anything coming down the shaft along here and out. So I'm gonna have to take my motor apart and do that again, but I just wanted to pause and show everybody this error that I made. Now putting the motor back together, it's everything just in reverse. So I'm gonna put the larger circlip on this side because, well, this shaft is bigger. Now with the motor flipped over, I'm just gonna put that little shim on there. It goes down with the little rubber silicone ring that's down there. Now to put the commutator on, make sure there's no metal filings on these magnets, make sure it's kind of clean, and then put this thing on. Now, getting it off was not super straightforward. Let's see how getting it on is. I just don't want to get my fingers caught in there. Oh, see that? Holy jeez, that went down hard. Wow, okay. Whoa, it was like hard, boom, done. Like, woo, man. Okay, I really knew to expect that, but didn't really expect that. Circlip on there. Let's put that gear on. I'm cautiously optimistic. Things seem to be going fairly well. We'll see what happens when I power this bad boy up, but okay. So I'm gonna give this just a bit of a squeeze, just because it was too loose. You want it to be on there tight. I mean, getting it off is hard, but I think it's supposed to be hard to get off. And then I'll put my key in. There's that. You know, since I'm here, I'm actually gonna grease this up, just because like that grease is kind of old and sticky. Ugh. There we go. I am gonna do it kind of the proper way. I'm gonna take these circlips out, pop these gears off, clean them. I'll be back. So I got everything off here. Called down to the auto parts shop and asked them about silicone grease, because that's what Miles at affordableebikes.ca recommends, and they said, yeah, we've got dielectric grease. And I said, well, I've got dielectric grease. And they said, we'll use that. That's what silicone grease is. So I'm gonna grease this up with dielectric grease. There we go. A whole whack of it anywhere that the gears are going to be in contact. I'm trying to clean out the inside of this wheel as best I can, but grease is pretty gross. So yeah, I'll grease this gear on the inside here up as well. And you know what? It's really easy to take this apart. So, you know, when it's time, or when you think it's time, or when you know it's time, just take it apart, do it. This isn't difficult at all. Okay, I got these 4 metal shims. Those go on top, and then everything's gonna drop right back into the wheel. I'm gonna drop the motor. Okay, wiggle that in, and she's in like Flynn. I'm sure I don't have any spare parts left in my box. Nope, no spare parts, good stuff. Wait a second, those metal shims were supposed to go here, weren't they? Whoops, pop that out. Grab those shims. Put that back in. These metal shims are supposed to go here, you dope. Then you drop this guy on here. And just like when you put the tire back on your car, you want to do it in kind of a crisscross star pattern. Sure, there is a torque spec for this. I don't know what it is. So anyway, kind of tight. And then tight. All right, so I got it all done. The bike is back together. The motor's working perfectly. I installed that torque arm, and man, has it made a huge difference. The shaft isn't spinning at all. The bike has amazing torque. It's just going no problems. I've had it back together now for about a week, so I think I'm out of the woods. I think I've done it. I'm going back to my regular stuff. The next video, that trailer behind me, I'm turning that into a camper. Trust me, you're gonna wanna subscribe to see that. It's really, really cool. If you've seen my other videos, I think you're really gonna like that one. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. All right.